Hello, this is Ken Barron. I'm with the National Association of Black and White Men Together, and today's topic is voter ID and transgenders. The hurdles to obtaining gender-affirming identification means the voice of transgender voters may not be heard. In an election, and especially during the election seasons, stringent voter identification requirements may uniquely impact a particularly marginalized group, that is, transgender people. You probably know that there are more than 200,000 transgender Americans, and they could face obstacles trying to vote in elections due to voter ID laws. And that's according to a recent report by the Williams Institute at the UCLA School of Law. Researchers estimate there are 878,300 eligible transgender voters in the United States, and say that of the more than 400,000 who live in the 31 states where elections are conducted primarily in person and have a voter ID law, nearly 50% of them lack identification to meet state requirements and accurately reflecting their name or gender identity. Experts say there are a variety of obstacles transgender people may face in getting accurate identification. Two major ones can be stringent requirements in place for changing gender markers and the financial costs associated with changing names. For example, in New Orleans, fees for a legal name change total $250, down from $506 after activists mounted a campaign to curb the cost, but still quite costly for some. For many transgender people, dealing with the lack of affirming documents is a regular struggle that threatens to be further amplified through scrutiny of their identification at the polls. It's always really difficult for transgender community folks to access different services, and it really opens up our community to different types of violence and discrimination by saying, quote, "You're not who you say you are." Some states, including Georgia and Tennessee, require that transgender people provide documents like a court order or a statement from a physician regarding a gender-confirming medical procedure in order to update their gender information on a driver's license. In Texas, a certified court order or amended birth certificate that verifies the change is required. So this means the process of changing a name or gender marker can be burdensome for those who want to update their identification to reflect their identity. Again, according to the Williams Institute report, such requirements create significant, sometimes unsurmountable barriers to obtaining accurate IDs for some transgender individuals, particularly because not all transgender people need gender-affirming surgical care. In some states, trans-identified people have to get an attorney, go through the courts, and petition a judge to legally change a name. This process, as you can imagine, is often lengthy and expensive, and that is generally, it's significantly easier for women to change their last name after getting married. Compounding the issue is the fact that transgender people suffer high rates of poverty and homelessness. Transgender Americans who are people of color, disabled, low income, or homeless are particularly likely not to have accurate identification. Trans community members frequently don't have affirming documentation because they don't have a physical address within the transgender community, particularly amongst Black transgender women. Income levels are very low. Transgender people already face rejection in their personal lives due to their identities, and that fear of rejection while trying to vote can be intimidating. 30% of transgender people reporting having negative experiences, including verbal harassment and physical attacks, after presenting identification that did not match their gender presentation. This impact in elections may be greatest amongst a group of 8 states in the South and Midwest that are classified by the Williams Institute analysis as having strict photo ID requirements. Excuse me. Those states are Alabama, Arkansas, Georgia, Indiana, Kansas, Mississippi, Tennessee, and Wisconsin. The report estimates nearly 65,000 eligible transgender voters in those states lack identification with their correct name and gender, putting them at risk of disenfranchisation. We urge states to take steps to improve access to the ballot for transgender voters, including changing voter ID laws, making the process of obtaining accurate IDs simpler and more affordable, and training poll workers and reducing barriers to voting. Thank you for listening. I'm with the NABWMT.org. Please visit us on our platforms, and you can email us at nabwmt@nabwmt. Please subscribe, comment, and like us. We appreciate it.